Yeah, so the entire 26 years, I always carried a weapon. I mean, that's my responsibility.
Can you shoot?
Huh? Can I shoot? Every FBI agent can shoot. You know,
Right.
we actually qualify 4 times a year, so you got to go out to the firing range 4 times a year and shoot your weapon. When I came in, we were carrying revolvers, but by the time I left, of course, we all had pistols. But yeah, I can shoot. I can shoot that. I can shoot the rifle. I can shoot the shotgun. But I can tell you that I did have two what we called collateral duties while I was in the FBI, and for 3 years, I actually managed our hiring program. So for 3 years, I went out there looking for women and minorities to join the FBI. So that's why when we talk about diversity in the FBI and whether people should be in law enforcement and what it's like, it's very much a passion of mine.
Right.
Because again, I believe that every law enforcement agency should reflect the community in which they serve. And so you got to have minorities and women. So yeah, I was tasked with doing that for 3 years, and I think I did an excellent job. Uh, Getting more women and minorities in. And then towards the very end of my career, I actually became the spokesperson. So I was the person who talked to the media, who talked to the TV and the reporters, who went out to the community to talk about the FBI, to answer questions about the FBI, to kind of shape our public perception of the FBI. And I really, really enjoyed that. And I think that's why I'm doing my podcast and why I'm writing my books now, because I got into that frame of representing the FBI, and I'm still doing it.
Right. During the course of your career, did you ever have to fire your weapon in the field?
Now, I had to pull it out. Just like on TV, I went through that door.
Freeze.
I was clearing those rooms. I definitely did that. But no, I did not have to shoot it. And luckily, the majority of agents, the majority of law enforcement officers have never had to fire their weapon in an adversarial situation. So
Right.
I did not. And I'm glad, because, taking a life, that's a serious thing.
That's something to be proud of. That says a lot about your professionalism, that you, throughout the course of a career, you never had to fire on anybody. Why is it so commonplace that law enforcement open fire on people these days?
This is going to be controversial
And
from both sides.
I won't. Let's not look at it from a racial
Right,
perspective,
no.
because we just seen a black officer in Minnesota kill a white woman.
Right.
So, is they out of control with the gunplay or what?
You know what I think? And again, this is going to be controversial. I don't think anything has changed. I think the thing that is different is the video.
We just got
the video. So now
we get a visual of it.
when things were happening before, and again, this is going to be controversial from my law enforcement partners, but when things were happening before, whether good things, bad things, questionable things, there was no video.
Right.
It was not recorded. So what we're seeing now is documentation of what's going on. I don't think anything has increased. I don't think anything has changed.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that is different is that now it's being documented on video, which, we only talk about the bad situations that we see. But there's probably as many, if not more, situations where having that video, having that documented, clears the actions of the police officers.
It often clears the actions of the police officers. We needed to protect the civilian.
Well, I do think that's what happens too. But I'm saying that the ones that we see, the ones that are on TV, are the instances where, it's very questionable, and the actions, of those officers, need to be investigated. But I'm just saying, the fact that there's so many out there is skewed by the fact that you're not seeing the other videos where the actions are justified.
What made you want to go into podcasting?
Yeah. So I started podcasting because of books. So if you were to ask me, I'm an author, author and podcaster. What I am first, I'm an author first.
Okay.
I love the stories.
Okay.
I love the crime novels. I have always read. I was always a reader, always reading crime novels. And, I just knew that one day I was going to write one, especially because of all the stuff that I've seen. In the FBI, I have a lot of stories to tell. And so I wanted to write that. So I am a novelist first. But of course, in order to reach out to the public, to build a readership, to build an audience, you need to have a platform.
Right.
So I create my platform through my podcast.
Is there any particular book that you wrote that you would consider to be a standout?
Everybody loves their first book, and I think what was surprising to so many people when I wrote my first book was the subject, because I'm a very conservative person, but my first book was about a black female FBI agent investigating corruption in the Philadelphia strip club industry. And it was inspired by a real case. I had two female agents in the Philly office, very attractive women who were working this case with an L&I, a licensing and inspection official here in Philly. And he loved the strip clubs. He loved hanging out in the strip clubs. He loved all the free stuff that he can get, including, alcohol, food, and of course sex, and the fact that they were working this case and they were talking to strippers and strip club owners and then the people that went to the club fascinated me. And so I shocked everybody. I mean, my book is full of, it's full of sex, it's full of, profanity. I keep it real, but I'm very, very proud of that book. It took me 6 years to do. But it's called Pay to Play, and I really, really love it. It's a redemption story. I love redemption stories, and so there's an author. His name is Joseph Wamba, and he is considered to be the father of the police procedural. And he said something once that really clicked with me, and what he said is that a good cop story is not how does it go? See, now I gotta remember
Take
it.
your time.
Yeah. It's not how, I cannot believe it just went on my, a good cop story is not how cops work on crimes, but how crimes work on cops.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so in my book, I have this female agent who has this painful past that she's, has buried away. But as she's working in the strip club, that painful past comes forward and causes some serious problems in her family life and in her career. And so that's what that book is about. And now I have a series where I'm taking her through that journey of redemption and coming back at the other end. And so the second one is called Greedy Givers.
So was that a sequel?
Yeah, it's a sequel.
Okay.
And it just shows the things that she did, the flaws that she showed in the first book, how she's resolving that, how that's becoming something that she's now dealing with. But I got a third book coming out too that I'm really proud of.
Oh man, you working. What's the name of the third one?
The third one is actually a nonfiction book. And I wrote it because in doing these interviews, and I've done over 165 interviews with retired agents about all kinds of things, cases that the FBI has worked on.
Right.
And so in doing that, there's a lot of times in our discussions, somebody says, yeah, it's not like it's on TV, or yeah, what they have in the movies is not the real thing, or what they write in the books is not real. And so I developed 20 cliches and misconceptions about the FBI and books, TV, and movies. And then I took those 20 cliches and I expanded it into a full book. And the book is called, what's the name of my book? The book is called I can't
Take
read
your
this.
time.
The book is called FBI Myths and Misconceptions, a manual for armchair detectives. And basically, I have these cliches and I break down the facts And then I also have quotes from some of the agents that I've interviewed that support the true way the FBI does it. And then I go over some of the movies, TV shows, and books about the FBI that's out there and let you know whether I think that they do a good job or they do a bad job in representing how the FBI operates.
You interviewed 160 agents. That's a lot of work. Where does Dan Riley and the Wayne Perry case fall on the totem pole as far as your resume?
When it comes to all of the cases that I have reviewed on my podcast, definitely interviewing Dan Riley about Wayne Perry is at the very top. I mean, it is definitely one of the cases that is so informative. It really gives you not just how the FBI does something, but the emotional toll that it takes and the commitment that is involved in going out there every day in very dangerous and very violent situations and putting your life on the line to make the lives of the communities where Dan worked safer.
Right.
And it really tells a story that sometimes people just don't understand.
Would you consider revisiting the Wayne Perry case with Agent Riley now that you're aware of the magnitude of the whole thing?
I don't know if we would go back and talk more about Wayne Perry. We covered that a lot, but Dan Riley worked on that Safe Street Task Force and helped to bring down the murder rate in Washington, D.C. during that time period. There's got to be other people, maybe people that aren't people, that others aren't even really that much aware of,
right,
that we can focus on and talk about, their story, those cases too.
If it's in Washington, D.C., we want to know about it. That's a predominantly black city. A lot of culture, a lot of things went down during the 80s and 90s that's documented that, kind of shaped the course of urban history, fashion, a whole lot. D.C. did a whole lot.
And I was born in D.C., isn't that funny?
Is that right?
I was born at Bowling Air Force Base.
When the last time you visited the city?
I was there last year. I did a meetup for my podcast listeners, and that was a lot of fun.
You want to know something? I document and I keep track of a lot of, urban history in regards to D.C. Do you know Wayne Perry was like maybe they had like 15 active Wayne Perrys back then in D.C. Did you know that?
No.
Even though he was the Michael Jordan of the murder game, there were several Michael Jordans in the city at the time.
Well, you know what? I need to find out the names of those individuals so that I can go to Dan Riley and say, hey, look, these are the other people that were operating back then that, I have a number of, people who are very interested in learning more about them, learning more about the investigation that took them down. So if I can get those names, I will find the agents.
He mentioned a guy by the name of Shawn Branch. He's a very, very big deal, especially right now. He's, of course, he was in the streets. He's done 25 years. He's home. He's written books. He's repackaged his life. He's doing real well. He just came off of a book tour with Barnes & Noble through New York City. But Shawn Branch is definitely, his name in the streets of D.C. and in the news is Teflon Shawn. Yeah, they had a hard time, sticking cases to Shawn Branch. And he's somebody definitely, he's on the Wayne Perry level. I don't know if I should speak them in the same sentence, but Dan Riley, during the course of your interview, he spoke of Shawn Branch visiting Wayne Perry in jail. So there's a connection between the two. And yeah, I think that would be a great revision for you to go back to D.C. and give us more.
All right. Well, that's what I'm going to do.
I want to talk about this go ahead, pick the picture book up a little bit.
What I did is, I because we moved around so much.
Hold it up just a bit. I want to see the letter. Okay.
Yeah. Because I moved around so much in my childhood, I was, an Air Force brat. My father was in the Air Force for more than 21 years. And, we traveled all around the country, all around the world. I collected stuff, and that's what's in this book.
Okay. So that right there, that book right there tells a story.
Yeah, it does. I started it because my girls, I have twin girls that are basketball players. They played basketball in high school and in college and at Shippensburg. And, I started scrapbooking all of their newspaper articles, about their games and their successes in soccer and basketball in high school and basketball in college. And somebody said to me, you're making these beautiful scrapbooks about their young lives. What about your life?
Right.
Why don't you record what you've done? And so that's why I made the scrapbook.
I think it's time for you to go ahead and do the book on your life. You're a black female federal agent. There's a story within that, and I'm sitting here having interactions with you. A lot of times when you encounter a minority in law enforcement, public office, they don't be black folks. I'm sitting here fellowshipping with you. I know that you black like me. Everybody that has our same melanated skin, they not black like me, but you one of us.
Thank you. I hope so. Because, that's one thing that I wanted to do in my entire career. I mean, I know how to operate in the FBI. Mm-hmm. I've got a great reputation. I would have to have, in order to get 165 agents, most of them white, to talk with me and to share their story. But I always keep it real, too. I went to Morgan State, I'm a Delta, and, I know where I came from.
That's great. That's incredible. We definitely need a minority presence in law enforcement. I hope you're not just done with the firm, with the agency. I hope you at some point being proactive with bringing more minorities into it.
That is the reason I'm doing this interview right now. I'm not doing the interview to talk about Wayne Perry and to talk about the cases. I'm here doing this interview to make sure that people watching, if they're interested in law enforcement, if they're interested in the FBI, I want them to see me and to know that we're here and they should just come on board.
So this is half of a FBI campaign that we doing right
here? Oh yeah, you didn't even know. You didn't even know that you were doing a recruitment campaign. Right. But yeah, this is my one of my missions. I stated on my website, my mission is to show the public who the FBI is and what the FBI does through my books, my blog, and my podcast case reviews with former colleagues. Right. That's what I'm doing right now. And I hope by showing the public who the FBI is, when they hear all this crazy stuff in the news, they get a full understanding of why that can't be true. And also when they encounter an FBI agent, they know what we're about. But definitely, I would love to have more minorities. I would love to have more women. I would like to have more black women in the FBI, and so that's the purpose. That's why I'm here talking to you today. Okay. Plus, you're a nice guy.
Great. We on the same page. Your platform. Tell my viewers where they can, keep up with you, with what you're doing.
Well, I definitely have my website, jerriwilliams.com, and that's Jerri Williams.com. I'm on Twitter, JerriWilliams1. I'm on Instagram, at JerriWilliams1. I have a Facebook page, Jerri Williams Author, and I'm there, putting up information, sharing stories about the FBI, and I would love, to interact and engage with definitely a new audience.
A lot of times when I profile somebody, especially in this in this format, the story doesn't end after this. So somebody else probably they're gonna see you on here, and what do you know? We got a black federal agent, and she's approachable. I think that your presence is definitely needed, because again, when people think about law enforcement, they don't think of a friend, of course. They don't think of anything positive. You know what I'm saying? And just sitting here having this exchange with you, I feel that you're different, and we definitely need you to be vocal and high profile in the aspect of trying to change what's going on in law enforcement.
Absolutely. And definitely, I know there's so many topics. We could talk about prison reform. That to me is very concerning, that there are people that are in prison, are in jail, just because they don't have the money to get out. I mean, I think that's totally, something that, we could all get on the same page about. So, I got a black son, I know how it is. And, again, I try to keep it real. But, definitely, the people that might have a problem with the FBI, I don't believe they have a problem with the way the FBI operates and the way the FBI treats them. And I certainly don't believe that the people in the communities that we're helping to clean up and helping to keep safe, I don't think they have a problem with us either.
Ms. Williams, you've been an incredible guest. I hope at some point we'll be able to sit down and talk about some of the books that you've done, or you'll have another blockbuster podcast. I was looking at one of the podcasts that you had recently where somebody was kidnapped and held underground.
Yeah, we had that one.
What was that about? That was heavy. That was Wayne Perry-ish.
Yeah, well, that was back in 1974, and it was a really famous kidnapping that actually was made into a movie. But I got one that's really good too, that a lot of people I think would be interested in, will find it fascinating, and it's the story of the Broad Street shootout, where there was actually a gun battle in the middle of Philadelphia and Broad Street, where FBI agents were shot, and the gang members, a couple of them were shot and killed also. And I think it's a fascinating interview, because one of the agents that was shot, was there telling his story, and it's really emotional. And again, that's what I'm trying to get across. Not just what we do, but who we are as FBI agents. And I think that particular podcast, it's still up on the homepage of my website, is one that gives you a different insight.
What's the title?
The two agents, I title mine by the name of the agents, and it was Rich Macko and Jim Sweeney, and Broad Street Shootout.
Okay, I'm definitely going to check that out. Again, I appreciate your time. Came down here and met each other in Philly, face to face.
I know. We've been texting and talking, and for a while now. So it's good to meet you.
Look forward to seeing you on Gully TV again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm a motherfucking G. Yeah, I'm talking murder, but it's me. I'm really living everything you see. That's what you say. They love to make a lie out of me. To the day that I expire, I'm a G. I'm a motherfucking G. They would love to make a lie out of Razor. Shoot and catch him out dark with the laser.